guys, AYT here and welcome to my first video. I like anime. I hope you like anime because that's going to be a big thing on this channel. Anime. Anyway, welcome to a what if, and I don't think anyone's done this before, so I'm going to say a completely original what if. What if Deku was the 11th user of One For All? There's a few things I should let you know. In this what if, because it's the 11th generation of One For All Might will be dead. Yeah. And also, everyone will have an enhanced version of their quirk, a somewhat enhanced version. And Mr. Aizawa won't be the same. He will have his grandchild instead, who will have, like I said, a more enhanced version of Aizawa's quirk. I'm gonna call him Rei Aizawa. And another thing you should know, the grandfather of Midoriya, who I've named Hizu Midoriya, he's the 9th user of One For All. Izuku's dad is the 10th user, who I've named Hiroshi Midoriya, and Izuku will be the 11th. Let's get into this. So we start off with Hiroshi Midoriya and Mizoru Momo. Yeah, Izuku and Momo are going to be brother and sister in this one. And I should probably tell you now, this is going to be Izuku X-May. I just like it, and it would make a little more sense with what I'm going to do, so yeah. So, like I said, they're holding 2 children. One's a green-haired name that they named Izuku Midoriya, and one's a black-haired girl, which they named Yayazoru Momo. Now, they grow up together loving heroes. With Izuku has his own inspirations and Momo has her own. Izuku's being All Might, his grandfather, his father, and Momo's being Midnight, Mount Lady, and the 2 female cats from Wild Wild Pussycats that I don't remember the name of. So they really have a big love for heroes, and they live a quite normal life. Well, that's up to where the bullying begins. Bakugo, Bakugo basically bullies Izuku like this, like in canon, but he doesn't bully Momo because at this time Momo's already gotten a quirk. He more flirts and hits on Momo than bully, but he still bullies Deku. And Momo, not really. Well, she's not at the age where she's very capable with a quirk. So the most she can do is just throw a bunch of stuff at Bakugo or tell Izuku to ignore it. So we're going to go to the day of the sludge villain attack. Izuku and Momo are much older now, and they're walking home. They're walking back home together, coming from school. Now, the sludge villain comes from behind, and it attacks Momo. Izuku, being quirkless, he screams for help. Everyone around is watching and choosing not to do anything. And Izuku sees this, and instead of just crying, he goes and tries to run to the nearest police station, but notices that's way too far. He screams help for heroes, and unfortunately for him, no one answers his call. So now it's just Izuku crying, watching his sister being suffocated by a sludge villain, thinking in his mind it's his fault for being quirkless or not even though he's quirkless, he didn't choose to do anything. He just sat and sulked all the time. So yeah, Izuku, he's crying, watching his sister die, and he notices that time stops. He sees black all around him, and then 10 people, well, 11 people appear. He knows 4 of them: All Might, his grandfather, his dad, and what looked to be like an older version of him. So this is who you deemed worthy of being the 11th user. One of the people say. Hiroshi nods. He's my son, so he's worthy from birth. The users laugh, including the older version of him. Well, the older version stops laughing and asks Izuku a question. Even though you're quirkless, you still wish to be a hero, and Izuku nods, and the users laugh again. All Might says to Hizu, he's just like you. Remember that day where you came up to me and asked me whether you could be a hero even though you have no power? And look at you now, one of the most legendary heroes. Anyway, the one at the end of the line, well, the start of the line, who Izuku, well, classed as the first one for all user, he looks at Izuku and walks forward and puts both of his hands on Izuku's shoulders. If you do wish to have our power and become the #1 hero, you must prove yourself. Izuku's confused as his dad told him the way he got one for all, and it didn't include any tests. But the first user already knew what he was thinking and says he went through a test, but it was a lot. He went through a test, but it was different. So Izuku agrees to go through the test, and the users explain. You will have to go through 11 tests. Each test will be given to you from a different user. If you complete the test, you'll hear a ding. If you fail the test, you'll go straight back to one of the users will either give you a second chance, or you'll come straight back here and the portals will be gone. Do you understand? Also, I forgot to mention, you will have one clue for every test. Izuku agrees to the terms and he walks through the first portal. Deku finds himself in the battle between All Might and All for One, except for All Might's not here yet, so just a bit before it started. He hears a voice in his head and it says the objective is to find someone and make sure they don't die. Izuku nods and he starts looking around. Well, walking and looking around. And then he realizes that he's not going anywhere, and hears two heartbeats and realizes that he's paralyzed. He moves his eyes to the left and sees a black figure. He has a helmet on and is wearing a black suit. Izuku instantly notices who this is. All for one. Deku thinks he shouldn't be able to see me because I wasn't here. But unfortunately for him, that's not how the test works. All for one walks up in the front of Izuku and says to him, guessing by the stare you're giving me, you know who I am. Yes, the number one villain, all for one. I'ma let you move your mouth. But don't be disrespectful, and remember the position you're in. Izuku opens his mouth and shuts it immediately. He asks All for One, what do you want? All for One chuckles and answers him, well, I just want to know, what are you doing here? You seem bright and lively, so I'm guessing you could be All Might's successor, I guess. Are you? Izuku says no. And All for One truth checks him and sees that he isn't lying. Okay, so are you quirkless? Izuku says yes. All for One checks and nods. Well, I am going to give you two choices. You could either die, or you could live, and we could give you something for helping us. Izuku doesn't even consider it before saying no, and carries on moving his eyes to try and look for the person that he needs to save. All for One carries on looking at Izuku. Are you looking for someone? All Might, perhaps? Man, people always look for their heroes. They never do the work themselves. I mean, I can go through your mind right now, and I see that, well, you're quirkless, and your sister, well, she was being suffocated by one of my weaker acquaintances, let's say. And you look around, and you're screaming for help. There's people there, but they choose not to do anything. They all have quirks, but they choose not to do anything. Society these days rely on heroes too much. When a hero is not there, what do? They just look. It's not that problem. They just look. But us villains, we're not like that. We move as a group. And if one of us is in trouble, we'll come and get you. Izuku looks at All for One, and he knows he's kind of right. Everyone does rely on heroes, even though they have the power to do it themselves, including him. But he doesn't know that. Izuku carries on looking person, and here's a time. 10 minutes left. Izuku starts sweating. He's only got 10 minutes until the test ends, and he still hasn't even found the person. In his mind, he asks for he wants to know, well, to ask a question. A voice is there and says, "What do you want to ask me?" Izuku asks, "Does this person die before All Might gets here or during the fight?" The voice laughs. "I've never been asked that one before. Most people, well, the other two users after me, they asked me what the person looks like. And when I told them, well, they immediately got it. That's props on them. However, many people have failed even knowing the answer. Anyway, I'll give you. The person dies before All Might gets here. And before the fight. That's your clue gone. By the way, you have 5 minutes left. All for One is looking at Izuku. You can't see it, but he's smiling. Do you want a quirk? Or power? Or quirks, perhaps? Izuku focuses on All for One after what he just said. Did you say quirks? All for One laughs. Well, I thought you knew my ability. Sorry about that. Haha, I thought you knew my quirk. If you did, then you should know I can give and take quirks. Izuku focuses again and listens quietly. So, all you have to do is walk towards me, and that will tell me that you want what I can give. Izuku starts walking towards All for One. I could finally have a use, he's thinking. I could have power. I could have a quirk. Even if I can't help people, I won't be looked down upon anymore. It would feel amazing. All for One laughs. That's it. Keep coming closer. Just a few more steps now. 30 seconds left, he hears. Izuku thinks about his family. Well, I'll still have my family, and I could help them with my quirk, even if I'm a villain. And surely they wouldn't kick me out just because I'm a villain, right? Izuku carries on walking. That's it, the last step. 10 seconds left. And then he remembers what his grandfather said. A quirkless boy can be turned into the #1 hero even if he doesn't have a quirk. Though they need to put in the work because it's a little more challenging. Izuku remembers this and how many times he used to repeat it to prove to people that even without a quirk he could be a hero. his eyes lit up, and he took his step back and moved away. He finally now understood that the person he was searching for was him. He needed to make sure that he didn't die, that he didn't let go of the good side of him and kill it. Izuku hears ding. You passed the first test. Congratulations. And he moves on to the second one. I'm going to end it there. This won't take more than 3 parts, and to be honest, it is a bit boring to listen, but it would all lead up and it would make sense in the future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and AYT signing out.